1. Idealism. Idealism is like believing that the world is made of thoughts rather than things. Imagine if reality was more like a dream or a giant idea, rather than a collection of physical objects. That's the core of idealism. Idealists argue that the fundamental nature of reality is mental or spiritual, not material. They believe that what we perceive as the physical world is either a creation of our minds or a manifestation of some greater, cosmic mind or spirit. For example, the German idealist Hegel saw all of history as the unfolding of a world spirit. This philosophy has deep roots, from Plato's forms to Berkeley's, to be is to be perceived. It challenges our everyday assumptions about reality and raises profound questions about consciousness, perception, and the nature of existence. While it might seem abstract, idealism has influenced fields from religion to quantum physics. It encourages us to look beyond the surface of things and consider the role of mind in shaping our reality. In a world often focused on the material, idealism reminds us of the power of ideas and the mystery of consciousness. Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love. 2. Materialism. Materialism is like believing that the universe is a giant machine made only of physical parts. Imagine if everything, from stars to your thoughts, could be explained by the movement and interaction of tiny particles. That's the essence of materialism. Materialists argue that everything that exists is physical or dependent on the physical. They reject the idea of separate mental or spiritual substances. In this view, even consciousness and thoughts are just complex arrangements or processes of matter, like the activity of neurons in our brains. This philosophy has been crucial for the development of modern science. It encourages seeking physical, measurable explanations for phenomena rather than appealing to supernatural causes. Materialism has led to great advances in our understanding of the natural world and human body. However, it also raises challenging questions about free will, consciousness, and the meaning of life. Critics argue it can't fully explain subjective experiences or values. Despite these challenges, materialism remains a powerful framework for understanding reality, reminding us to seek concrete, testable explanations for the world around us. 3. Existentialism. Existentialism is like waking up in a strange world and realizing you have to figure out your own purpose. Imagine being thrown into existence without a guidebook, having to create your own meaning in a seemingly meaningless universe. That's the existentialist situation. Existentialists believe that we are entirely free and responsible for creating our own essence through our choices and actions. They argue that there are no predetermined meanings or values in life, we must create them ourselves. This freedom can be both liberating and terrifying, leading to what existentialists call angst or existential dread. Key figures like Sartre, Camus, and Kierkegaard explored themes of freedom, responsibility, authenticity, and the absurdity of life. Existentialism encourages us to confront the harsh realities of existence, death, meaninglessness, isolation, and create our own authentic lives in spite of them. It's a philosophy that resonates with many in our modern, often alienating world. While it can seem bleak, existentialism ultimately empowers us to take charge of our lives and find meaning in our own way. 4. Phenomenology. Phenomenology is like trying to see the world with fresh eyes, as if for the first time. Imagine stripping away all your assumptions and theories about reality and just focusing on how things appear to your consciousness. That's the phenomenological approach. Phenomenologists argue that to truly understand anything, we need to examine our direct, immediate experience of it, before we start interpreting or theorizing. They believe that by carefully describing our experiences, we can uncover essential truths about consciousness and reality. Developed by thinkers like Husserl and Heidegger, phenomenology has influenced fields from psychology to art. It encourages us to pay close attention to our lived experience, to notice details we might usually overlook. For example, a phenomenologist might spend hours describing the experience of seeing a tree, trying to capture its essence as it appears to consciousness. While it might seem abstract, phenomenology offers a powerful tool for understanding our relationship to the world and each other. It reminds us to question our assumptions and return to the richness of direct experience. 5. Pragmatism. Pragmatism is like judging a tool not by how it looks, but by how well it works. Imagine evaluating ideas based on their practical consequences rather than abstract principles. That's the pragmatic approach. Pragmatists argue that the value of an idea or belief lies in its practical effects. They reject the notion of absolute, unchanging truths, instead seeing ideas as instruments for solving problems and improving our lives. For a pragmatist, if a belief leads to good results, it's true in a practical sense, even if it can't be proven absolutely. Developed by thinkers like Peirce, James, and Dewey, pragmatism has deeply influenced American thought and culture. It encourages experimentation, flexibility, and a focus on real-world outcomes. Pragmatism has been applied to fields from education to politics, promoting problem-solving approaches over rigid ideologies. While critics argue it can be too relativistic, pragmatism offers a powerful way to navigate complex issues. It reminds us to ask not just, is it true, but what difference does it make? 6. Analytic Philosophy. Analytic philosophy is like trying to understand a complex machine by carefully examining each of its parts. Imagine breaking down big philosophical questions into smaller, more precise ones that can be analyzed using logic and language. That's the analytic approach. Analytic philosophers focus on clarity, precision, and logical analysis. They believe that many philosophical problems arise from misunderstandings of language or logical errors. By carefully defining terms and examining the logical structure of arguments, they aim to solve or dissolve philosophical puzzles. This approach, developed by thinkers like Russell, Freya, and Wittgenstein, has dominated much of 20th century Western philosophy. It has led to significant advances in logic, philosophy of language, and philosophy of science. Analytic philosophy encourages rigorous thinking and clear expression. While it's sometimes criticized for being too narrow or technical, it provides powerful tools for critical thinking and clear communication. In a world of complex ideas and arguments, analytic philosophy reminds us of the importance of precision and logical consistency. 7. Continental Philosophy. Continental philosophy is like exploring a vast, rich landscape of ideas, focusing on the big questions of human existence and culture. Imagine diving deep into themes of life, death, meaning, and society, often through dense, poetic language. That's the continental approach. Continental philosophers, mainly from mainland Europe, tend to engage more with history, culture, and the lived human experience than their analytic counterparts. They often draw on disciplines like literature, psychology, and social theory. Key movements within continental philosophy include existentialism, phenomenology, critical theory, and postmodernism. Thinkers like Heidegger, Sartre, Foucault, and Derrida have profoundly influenced fields from literature to politics. Continental philosophy encourages us to question our assumptions about reality, society, and ourselves. It often challenges established norms and power structures. While it's sometimes criticized for being obscure or overly subjective, continental philosophy offers rich insights into the human condition and our place in the world. It reminds us to look beyond surface appearances and consider the deeper meanings and contexts of our existence. 8. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is like exploring a vast, rich landscape of ideas, focusing on the big questions of human existence and culture. Imagine diving deep into themes of life, death, meaning, and society, often through dense, poetic language. That's the continental approach. Continental philosophers, mainly from mainland Europe, tend to engage more with history, culture, and the lived human experience than their analytic counterparts. They often draw on disciplines like literature, psychology, and social theory. Key movements within continental philosophy include existentialism, phenomenology, critical theory, and postmodernism. Thinkers like Heidegger, Sartre, Foucault, and Derrida have profoundly influenced fields from literature to politics. Continental philosophy encourages us to question our assumptions about reality, society, and ourselves. It often challenges established norms and power structures. While it's sometimes criticized for being obscure or overly subjective, Continental philosophy offers rich insights into the human condition and our place in the world. It reminds us to look beyond surface appearances and consider the deeper meanings and contexts of our existence. 9. Marxism. Marxism is like viewing history as a grand struggle between social classes, with economics as the driving force. Imagine seeing all of human society and culture as shaped by who controls the means of production. That's the Marxist perspective. Developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, Marxism argues that society is fundamentally about material conditions and economic relationships. It sees history as a series of class struggles, with the ruling class exploiting the working class. Marxists believe that capitalism, despite its productive power, leads to alienation and inequality, and will eventually be replaced by a socialist system and then a classless communist society. Marxism has had a profound impact on politics, economics, and social theory worldwide. It encourages us to look at the economic roots of social issues and to question power structures. While its predictions about the inevitable collapse of capitalism haven't come true, Marxist analysis continues to offer insights into inequality, globalization, and social change. It reminds us to consider the economic forces shaping our lives and societies, and to strive for a more equitable world.